Okay, Romeo and Juliet. Here we go. 1595, same year as A Midsummer Night's Dream, as I was saying. Okay, this famous play is about lovers. Two famous lovers, Romeo and Juliet. They live in Verona, Verona, in northern Italy. Of course, they're Shakespeare's people, and they are much more British than Italian, but that's okay. Shakespeare took his stories from everywhere, and many of the stories he took from the Italians. The Italians told stories very well, and the Italian society mentality had been the leading mentality of Europe for 300 years by 1595. Long time. Okay, Verona. There's a duke. The duke rules Verona, but two families, the Capulets and the Montagues, have been feuding, F-E-U-D, fighting. They hate each other, and whenever possible they fight, or they will even kill each other if they can. This happened often in Renaissance Italy. It was one of the reasons why the Italians were not able to unite politically, and so not able to have much political power. Okay. Capulets and Montagues. Juliet is a Capulet. Of course, both families rich, many relatives, so forth. Juliet is maybe 13 years old now, maybe 14. Young. But father and mother think maybe she should think about getting married. She doesn't want to get married, but father and mother have found a nice young man with a lot of money. Paris is his name, and they want her at least to talk with Paris and see how she feels. Okay. The other main character on the Capulet side, Juliet, mother and father, Capulet, and the nurse. Oh, God, a couple of others too. Tybalt. The nurse first. The nurse is Juliet's nurse friend. She raised Juliet. She's very witty, very funny. Pretty great character. Interesting. Down to earth. She thinks, yes, you should get married soon. He has a lot of money. You will be comfortable for the rest of your life. Tybalt is a young man in the Capulet family, cousin to Juliet. He's violent. He is a violent young man. Loves to fight. He's a bully. He's a problem. Okay. Now, how about the Montagues? Romeo is a Montague. I think he's probably about 18 now. So he's older than Juliet. He's a dreamer and a lover. And recently he has been in love with Rosaline. And he can't think about anything except Rosaline. But Rosaline is not interested. In fact, Rosaline wants to be a nun. N-U-N. So, Rosaline, I wish you could love me, blah, 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 blah. Okay, he's a dreamer. In the Montague family, a cousin to the Montagues is Mercutio. And Mercutio is one of the great characters. In fact, I would say Mercutio is the first great character in Shakespeare. Who would be before? No one. The first really great character. He's witty. And he's cynical. C-Y-N-I-C-A-L. But he's a good man, too. And he's a good friend to Romeo. Okay. There are some other servants in both families. Now, action starts when the servants meet each other at the market. Well, one thing happens and another thing happens, and pretty soon they're fighting. And then it's a big fight, and food gets turned over, people screaming, running, screaming. The Duke arrives with his police. What happened here? Oh, Montague and Capulet again. Next time there's any fighting between you two, you, Capulet, and you, Montague, will be banished, will be expelled from Verona. Next time. Big warning. So, pressure. Now, where's Romeo? Romeo's dreaming. So, now, next. Mercutio, I think, Benvolio maybe, one of the Montagues learns that there will be a party tonight at the Capulet's house. And they think, oh, let's sneak in. Let's enter. Oh, it's masked ball. So let's put on masks and let's go to the party. Dangerous. I think okay. No trouble. Just fun. Okay, so Romeo will go. And Mercutio will go. Benvolio and other Montagues will go that night. On their way to the party, Mercutio gives a famous speech about Queen Mab. And really, Queen Mab is a fairy. It's another big link between Romeo and Juliet and A Midsummer Night's Dream. Mercutio's speech is very long, and Mercutio is kind of the poet madman a little bit, just like in this famous Theseus speech of Midsummer Night's Dream, because Mercutio becomes swept up into the spirit of this speech that he's giving. He becomes overwhelmed by his own words, and it's as if he leaves this world and he's thinking on a level of imagination which is a little bit crazy. And Romeo says, Mercutio, no, there is no Queen Mab. Return to reality. He's worried. They're worried. And it's a remarkable scene. What does it show? Just Mercutio, wonderful. Wonderful character. Okay, so then they go to the party, and we have the famous scene. Romeo sees Juliet. Juliet, no mask. Who is that? Capulet. She's Juliet. Oh, she's beautiful. She's wonderful. And he finds a chance to come near her, and he holds her hand. And great witty exchange. They speak in verse, by the way, in rhyme. And at one point they speak a sonnet. A sonnet is a 14-line poem in English, all European languages. And they speak a sonnet. Sonnets are typically about love. And he even kisses her, a little kiss, nothing very big, but she sees him. She loves him. Tybalt recognizes Romeo, and Tybalt goes to Capulet, the father, and says, Uncle, Montagues are here. I'm going to kill them. Capulet says, you will not. They are my guests in my home. They're not invited, but that's okay. They're not harming anyone. I hear that Romeo is a real young gentleman. You will not cause trouble here in my home. Tybalt hates this, but he must obey. So he's watching, and he is an angry young man anyway. So the evening ends. The Montagues leave. Romeo is in love. He's in love. He's in love. And he goes back to the Capulet house, jumps over the wall, these high Italian walls, into the garden, risking his life. Crazy. But he's a lover. He's a lover. Meanwhile, Juliet goes to her bedroom to get ready for bed. But she steps out on the balcony and speaks to the stars. Romeo, Romeo. Oh, by the way, she knows who he is. Montague. But she loves him. The famous words, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Often misunderstood, means, why are you a Romeo? Why are you a Montague? Why couldn't you be some other family so that I could love you and marry you? Why must you be a Montague, my family's enemies? Well, Romeo's standing there in the garden. He hears this. He realizes that she loves him. He loves her too. And he comes out. And they have this wonderful exchange. He even climbs up the vines on the wall just to kiss her. But meanwhile, the nurse is calling to Juliet, Juliet, come to bed. Anon, anon, right away, soon, nurse. She wants to talk with Romeo, but the nurse will find him. And then at a certain point, the nurse comes out, and Juliet's not there, and suddenly the nurse sees him. Ah! He sees her. Ah! Falls down, and he must run away. But he and she have already agreed that they will meet. They will meet at Friar Lawrence's place. Friar, that's a monk, a Franciscan monk. He's a kind man, and he will marry them. Wow. Very fast. Okay. The next day, in the market, Tybalt sees Mercutio. Tybalt and Mercutio fight, and all of the Capulets and Montagues fight again. Romeo arrives, lover. Oh no, don't fight. I mean, the two families, he wants the two families to make peace. He wants to marry Juliet. Don't fight, don't fight. He steps between them. Tybalt stabs under Romeo's arm and stabs Mercutio. Then everybody runs, but Mercutio is down. And Mercutio is dying. His dying speech. Kind of wonderful. Witty, but he's dying. And he knows it. Romeo can't believe it. No, you'll get better. You'll be okay. No, I won't be okay. Tomorrow you will find me a most grave man. You will find me a dead man. And then Mercutio dies. And now Romeo feels like a fool. He thinks he's been a fool. He has caused his dear cousin's death. He's been a fool. And he must get revenge for the death of Mercutio. He must find Tybalt. And so he grabs a sword and he goes to look for Tybalt. Tybalt, laughing, happy that he killed Mercutio. They fight. Tybalt is the better fighter in any production. Tybalt is a fighter. But Romeo gets lucky. And at a certain point, Romeo stabs Tybalt. No one can believe it. Tybalt can't believe it. This is serious now. It was serious before. Tybalt dies. Enter the Duke. Again? Banishes Romeo. Romeo must leave. And the two families will be punished. Now Romeo must leave Verona. But first, oh no, I'm sorry. Back up a little bit. Before the big fight, Romeo and Juliet have already met at Friar Lawrence's. And Friar Lawrence sees this marriage as a good thing, because maybe by this marriage the two families will reconcile, make peace, end their famous feud, F-E-U-D, the fighting and all that, stupid, endless fighting. Friar Lawrence is a good man, a very educated man, and he marries Romeo and Juliet. Then comes the fighting, and then Romeo is banished from Verona. When Juliet hears the news from the nurse, first she hears that her cousin Tybalt is dead. Then she hears that Romeo, her husband, killed Tybalt. Well, she's just overwhelmed. She thinks she should hate Romeo, but Romeo is her husband. She loves Romeo. So, they must find a way. Romeo is banished to Mantua, a town maybe 50 miles away. But Friar Lawrence has an idea. He has made a drug. And if a person takes this drug, the person will seem to be dead, just dead, for 40 hours. At the end of 40 hours, though, the person will wake up. Aha! So, Romeo in Mantua buys some poison. Friar Lawrence sends a messenger to Romeo to tell Romeo about this plan. The messenger never reaches Romeo. Romeo doesn't know the plan. This is terrible. They are to meet, though, at the tomb, at the Capulet tomb, I think. Yeah. Juliet is going to take the drug, Friar Lawrence's drug. Juliet will seem to be dead. They will bury Juliet in the Capulet tombs. Romeo must go there to find Juliet. Romeo goes there to the tombs to find Juliet, but Romeo thinks Juliet is dead, that she's really dead. He doesn't know. So he is very, very sad. He takes the poison that he buys, and he kills himself. Excuse me. Then Juliet wakes up. She finds Romeo dead next to her. Oh my God. He's really dead. She takes a knife and kills herself. Then both lovers are dead. Then Paris arrives. Then others arrive. Then everyone learns the truth, that Romeo and Juliet were husband and wife. They loved each other. They loved each other so much that they would rather be dead than be without each other. Famous lovers. At the end of the play, then, the two families make peace. The Duke makes them make peace. The Duke speaks and says, "Do you see what fools you have been? How foolish you have been? Look at this. This should not be. These two young, beautiful people dead. Sad. End of play." Now I want to discuss something else. You listeners, 7th graders maybe, should understand something. In a tragedy, a true tragedy, people make decisions, but the decisions are they make the decisions because of the kind of people they are. In a tragedy, a person makes decisions, and a person is going to die as a result of those decisions. The tragic hero will die. This is true of Hamlet, Othello. This is true of Oedipus and tragic heroes. Romeo and Juliet, though, is called a tragedy of fate. At the beginning, in the prologue, which is a sonnet also, prologue calls Romeo and Juliet star-crossed lovers. Everything they do has been determined by the stars, by fate. They have no freedom in this matter. It's not really a tragedy. It's not a tragedy of character. It's a tragedy of fate. But really, if we have no freedom, if we have no choice in what happens, then nothing's very tragic. Things happen, but we have no control over these things. So, among Shakespeare's tragedies, Romeo and Juliet is not really a great tragedy. It's a minor tragedy. But among people who go to the theater, it's very moving, wonderful really, romantic, of course. Great secondary characters. Mercutio, great character. Tybalt, interesting. The nurse, very interesting. Even the parents are interesting. The Duke is interesting. The situation, interesting. Great tragedy, maybe no. Great theater, yes.